Hi again. Here we are to continue talking about JavaScript and asynchronous functions, and working towards making like kind of a robust library that will work with an API. And in our last adventure here, we got the weather data. It was super exciting, and we used a promise to do it, right? So we've got this promise here. I forgot to, when we added the promise here and returned a promise, we could actually get rid of these two parameters here, and that was part of the reason, right? That was kind of simplifying our code so we don't have to have those multiple callbacks over here, right? Okay. Let's take this one step further. So JavaScript also gives us a new feature. I guess it's not that new now, but it's still pretty new, called async await. So asynchronous functions always return a promise. So even if you don't explicitly return a promise, an async a function marked async will always return a promise. Let's try async here, because async is going to make this code read a little better. So what we'll do is we'll put the keyword async in front of this this function right here. So get weather, and in front of the keyword function we'll put the async keyword. So this function now is marked as asynchronous, and what this means is essentially it will return a promise no matter what, and also it means that that we can run each line of code here, and the computer will wait for any line of code in here that's marked with the await keyword. Okay, so normally the computer's going to run through all the code here. It's going to do this line, do this line, do this line of code, and then return something. And that all happens before this callback is called. What if we wanted to wait for this thing to resolve before going on to the next line of code? And that's what await is going to do for us, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to mark and await. The await keyword only works within a function that is marked with async. Okay, so we'll put await in front of fetch here, right? And it's going to return the response. Right, so not a promise, but it's going to this promise right here will resolve to a response, and we'll get that value without having to write the callback in, on the dot then. Normally we would have done this, and then we would have said, response, and then we would have handled it, right? And so now we have like a lot of code here that's not ugly, but it's not easy to read either. Here we'll just get this response back by putting await in front here. Okay, so we'll clean that up, and then we'll call response.json, right? And this returns a promise, but what we'll do is we'll mark it as await, right? And so what we're saying here is we're saying like, hey, this is a promise, and I'm going to wait on this line of code until that promise resolves, and when it does, we'll put it into this, let's actually rename that as JSON, and we'll get the JSON value here and put it into, or the JSON data that was returned from this call to response.json, and we'll put it in this JSON variable, and at the end we can return it. Hey, that's kind of nice, right? Reads pretty cleanly, right? So we can, fetch some data, and when that resolves, we'll get the response. We'll call response JSON to stream the JSON data, and when that JSON data has streamed, it'll go in here, and then we can continue and we can return the JSON data. Okay? From the other end of the code, it's going to work the same way as it did before. Essentially, this function has been marked with async, so it always returns a promise, and then we can handle that promise here. Okay, so we can just handle it in the same way. Let's give that a try and refresh it. Oh, it still seems to be working, right? So that's kind of a little bit of an improvement there with async await. Okay, so anyway, if you have any questions on async await, please post them to the comments, and we'll continue in the next video, and we'll add some more features. Okay, thanks for watching.